Yeah, so as I've kind of alluded to, I was always a spooky kid.
Mm.
And when I was in middle school, I got into Ouija boards. I think, does the first Conjuring, that has Ouija boards in it, right?
The first
There's-
Conjuring with the family?
Yeah. Is there a Ouija board in it?
I'm
I
not
can't
sure.
remember. Well, there's some movie that I watched when I was a kid, and I was like, oh, Ouija boards.
Yeah.
And after a lot of begging, my dad got me a Ouija board. My mom, I'm not sure if she was like on board with that,
Yeah.
but
Yeah.
I got a Ouija board. And so, I moved around a lot as a kid. And I was a new kid at this school in Georgia because we had just switched. And I really struggled to fit in at first. And it was when I was like at my weird peak, so to say. So pretty much every public school in the 8th grade in Georgia goes to Savannah, Georgia, which is known to be the most haunted city in America.
Wow.
It's super creepy, old, weird, and gorgeous.
Oh my God.
So I got paired last minute with these girls that I kind of got to know in my theater class. And they were also kind of into Tumblr stuff, they were cool with my weird, which was really nice because that hadn't been the case before. I was kind of getting bullied a little bit at that time. But I snuck a Ouija board onto the trip. And it's late at night. We're all in the hotel room. And it's just like a Marriott or something. Like, not the nicest hotel, not fancy by any means. Maybe even a Holiday Inn. And, adults aren't checking in on us. So we pull the Ouija board out. And we didn't really think anything was going to happen. I mean, we're just joking about it. Well, we start asking it some questions, and it did get a little weird. At first, I kind of thought this one girl was maybe moving the blanket to mess with us. And then we were asking darker questions, like, are you good? And then it just started spinning, and I was like, oh my God, I think the girl's name's Katie or something. I was like, Katie, what are you doing? And she's like, it's not me. And I think she may have even gotten up, and it was still moving around. It was a weird time. None of us slept after. But we asked a couple more questions, but it was just like, it was so odd because I'm not sure if I believe in ghosts. I think I do. But I'm a little agnostic to it because it's like, how do you get proof of it? But anyways.
I mean, there's a ghost right there. I
Whoa.
don't want to scare you. But
Whoa.
there's a ghost right on your lap.
What's up, Casper?
Right on your lap. It's right there.
On my lap?
No.
On your lap? Is it a ghost dog?
On Becky's lap.
But this Ouija board is that very Ouija board from my middle school trip. And we used it a couple other times, just me and I had a couple of close friends at the time, but yeah, that Ouija board's been around the country with me.
Wow.
Yeah.
That's a surprisingly very wholesome story.
It is.
I know there were
there's weird
stuff
things
happening, but yeah.
Ouija boards bring people together, though.
Yeah,
It was the first group that didn't bully me when I met them.
Oh.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But I sucked.
I doubt that.
Yeah.
But that's a cool origin story for you.
Yeah.
Yeah. I can't remember. My earliest memory of a Ouija board, I thought it was like Ouija board for some reason.
Yeah.
But we didn't, I didn't have anything like this. In school, though, we had a piece of paper, and one friend came in, and she wrote everything down on the piece of paper. Yeah. And then we had an eraser or something that we all used, and she was telling us, you need to do this, you need to ask those questions. And it was a pretty, it was funny. It was now that I think of it, it was a funny experience. But
Nothing
it wasn't
morbid.
Yeah. And definitely, I think a lot of my, agnostic beliefs come from that, of how do you
could
prove?
it be?
Yeah. I don't want to. That's why I think the horror aspect draws me in so much, because I want to know, you know, if it's out there.
Is it really there?
Yeah.
Hi, my name's Becky,
Hi, my name's Sahiti.
and you're tuning in to Final Girls Guide.
And our outfits might be a little different than the first 2 episodes because we are getting comfortable today.
Yes. Today, we're talking about slumber party themed horror movies. Now, not all of these are going to actually be centered on a slumber party, but it's movies you may bring for a little girls' night or ones that do take that setting and that kind of like insane isolation is kind of a thing I think we're looking for this week.
Yeah.
But it's just a fun episode. Kicking off, I'm going to talk about my favorite treat to bring to slumber parties.
Nice.
This summer I'm an absolute Trader Joe's girl till I die, for sure. Love them, but they have this seasonal cracker that they do every year, and it pairs really well with a bunch of things. But my favorite has to be the strawberry jalapeno crackers that they do, and I'll do that with a baked brie, and that's the start of a great night for me.
That's awesome. I mean, I also know that we both like spicy margarita.
We do love a spicy margarita. We love spicy everything.
Yeah.
Everything needs to be spicy.
That's true. I think that's my favorite snack. I'm not too much of a snack person, but I've been craving the Indian magic masala lays.
You introduced me.
Yeah.
These are pretty great.
Yeah. It's pretty good. And it's like it just all the cravings that I have or like homesickness or whatever, it just
It
brings it all
cleanses.
together. Yeah.
Yeah.
So that's right now I think I'm in the magic masala phase.
Nice.
Yeah.
Those are fucking good.
Yeah.
They're so good.
Thanks guys.
What
Wanted
are
the validation.
So with Magic Masala Lay's chips, let's talk about the movie we may be putting on when we're enjoying those.
Yes. Fear Street,
Yes.
the Netflix series, was actually helped me go through the pandemic, I would say.
Same.
It kept my interest in movies alive.
Yeah.
It was so interesting to see, a Netflix release of like an anthology series.
And slasher themed too.
Slasher themed. Yeah. And it was a time when nobody knew what was going to happen to the world. We didn't know if there was an after. We didn't know how the world would look like afterwards. We didn't know how the industry would look like afterwards. And it was a huge reason that I didn't get into films as soon as I could because I thought,
There was a pause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But it did so well.
Yeah.
And yeah, I just remember enjoying those movies a lot
Yeah.
during the pandemic at a time when, movies were, basically the only thing bringing me comfort.
I mean, yeah, and that's what I love about Fear Street. I mean, Fear Street, all three of those do such a great job to bring up everyone's favorite parts of slashers
Yeah.
and the nostalgia factor. But at that time, I felt like there weren't really a lot of slashers coming out that were really pulling in audiences the way they used to with like a Friday the 13th
Yeah.
or
At that
something.
time, not a lot of anything was coming out.
That's
Not a
true,
lot of
yeah.
anything. But Fear Street came out, and we have our protagonist and our final girl. I mean, there's kind of a couple final girls, but
That's true. Yeah.
Dina is
Yeah.
who we focus on, and I can't think of the actress's name, but she does such a good job portraying that character and getting that feeling of having to be the older sister. You can't really
Yeah.
portray or put on display your own emotions, but internally that she was fighting with a lot of other things going on with her girlfriend or kind of ex-girlfriend Sam.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And I also think that there was also this element of the lengths people would go to stay in power and
Yeah.
keep communities in the dark and
Yeah.
make sure
Sacrifice
that
people.
Yeah.
Literally.
for your own political gain or
Yeah.
monetary gain.
Yeah.
And what I really liked about the series is that it could have also been a limited series,
Yeah.
but I think
It worked as a trilogy.
yeah,
though.
the trilogy
Yeah.
really worked,
Yeah.
and they had enough time to go through all the 3 different years that the story
Yeah.
spanned
Yeah.
in such a great way that it
Yeah.
kept you interested. It kept coming back to the present.
Yes.
And you had so much invested in the characters already that you weren't like, oh, I have to watch another 2 movies.
Yeah. You're
But
like, oh.
yeah.
I mean, similar for me. I watched it when it was coming out. My family had just moved to Maryland while I was a freshman in college. So all of a sudden, like, they kick us out of the dorms, give us like a few days, I think, basically to figure things out.
A few days.
Yeah, I mean, maybe I'm being dramatic, but it felt like a few days.
Yeah.
It was pretty bad at my school, yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was out of nowhere. But so all of a sudden I was having to, what's the word I'm looking for?
Relocate?
Well, yeah, relocate, but no. What's the word where everyone had to stay in their homes?
Isolate?
No,
Quarantine.
isolate. Quarantine.
Yeah.
Yeah. Okay. Oh, okay.
Guys. The war is over,
war,
guys.
yeah.
We don't have to quarantine
We
anymore.
don't have to quarantine.
The hay thing.
The hay thing, pitchfork.
Pitchfork. Happens to the best of us.
That happens to the best of us.
Yeah.
Yeah. So I had a quarantine though with my little brother, and at the time, like, a lot of things with my family were going on, and it felt pretty sad at first. But then Fear Street came out, and my brother and I remember, shout out Jack, but we were tuning in weekly, and we were so excited for Views to come out because it's also adapted from a series that R.L. Stine did, who is the creator of Goosebumps. I'm sure everyone knows, but these were sort of more adult takes. But I just remember it was like the only thing really getting us excited because, I mean, before that, we just thought this was life.
Yeah.
The world's ending.
I did have something else to say, but I forgot. It's fine.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's dreary outside. It's raining. It's
Yeah,
fine.
it's perfect for a slumber party.
Perfect for a sleepover. You're so right. Yeah. But
I think there can be something comforting about something horrifying and scary when you're in a horrifying and scary time.
yeah.
Because I remember I got into horror when I had to have a bunch of really bad surgeries, and it was so there for me. It was so comforting. It was weird.
That's true. Yeah.
I feel like when you're really going through it, horror's there for you.
Yeah.
Because it's there to show that at
It's
least you're not getting
this
chopped
bad.
up.
Yeah.
Oh my God. Let's talk about Fear Street. There's that one death. I really like that character.
The
but
bread slicer?
Yeah.
I knew
the
it.
bread slicer kill. I've never seen anything like that before.
Exactly.
It was so fun.
Yeah. It was very it took me some time to be okay with slasher. Usually what a lot of my family says is that I'm not very reactive. Like, I don't give reactions, and I'm
Same.
not
Yeah.
that kind of person who, like, if you surprise me, I won't, like, start jumping with joy or anything. So
Okay, yeah, I get that.
slasher, like, with slasher, it's never like it happens on screen and I'm like, oh my God, like, I don't give that.
Yeah.
And so it took me some time to be like, oh, slashers can shock me, or
Yeah.
like, something like that
Yeah.
could, like, make me be at the edge of my seat.
Yeah.
And that scene did it for me, because yeah, the build up to that felt like they were gonna make it out, or maybe one person would die.
Yeah. Nope.
But
Oh, and
yeah.
Sam's possession in that movie's really cool too.
yeah,
Yeah.
nicely done.
Yeah.
I did find a fun study on Science Direct that says horror fans and the morbidly curious were more psychologically resilient during the pandemic.
I believe it.
We've
Yeah.
been prepping. We've been prepping.
The psychologically insane were prepared for a pandemic.
And apparently horror
Makes
fans
sense.
are in that grouping. Great.
Of course.
Great, of course.
course.
I always knew it. I had an inkling.
Psychologically insane.
That's our primary target
Yeah.
audience.
If you're tuning into this podcast definitely go see a psychiatrist.
Yeah.
I mean, I'm not a trained professional, but
Yeah.
So let's go a bit more into Dina as a character. How do you think she challenges the idea of a final girl?
Ooh.
well, I mean, right off the top of it, she's lesbian.
Yeah.
That's totally against the like
Yeah, the
typical tropes that
stereotype.
we see.
Yeah.
And I think it's fun that, or not fun, I think it's a strong message conveyed by Fear Street. We were just talking. I don't think there's like a coming out storyline other than Sam has a boyfriend. But I mean, most of the story is Dina's story.
Yeah.
And it's just a part of who she is. And that is how that should be. We shouldn't force people to have a coming out story
Yeah.
that are in the LGBTQ community.
Yeah.
Because like it can't just be a natural thing, and it doesn't have to be this whole dramatic show. And she's very sure in who she is as a person.
Yeah. Yeah.
And that's just a part of her.
Yeah, and I think there's a lot of times where it's added in for a plot point or like a dramatic scene
Yeah.
when the story doesn't even need that.
No.
You know, if the story revolves around that journey, then you need it. If it's about just characters living their lives, like, again, you don't see people coming out as straight in movies, so
Yeah,
why?
exactly. Like, whoa, you're straight?
Yeah, yeah. And I think
To be
yeah,
fair, you did do that.
Me?
You did have to come out as straight to me.
I did, yeah, but that was like a question asked and answered. That was more like a shock factor of like, what? What? You're straight? Yeah.
I was fucking straight.
Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, and I think Dina
Dina.
as a protagonist. My God, this is gonna haunt me. Dina. Dina. What I think was great is that she already has so much conflict built into her life
Yeah.
without the Sarah Fior, the witch,
Yeah,
which makes for such a great protagonist,
yeah,
and which we see in a lot of horror tropes. That's not
yeah.
that doesn't make her different, but it's more comforting that, you know,
It is.
being lesbian isn't the one thing that, you know,
Yeah.
makes her so different from the others, but gives her the motivation to go to the end, gives her the motivation to fight for Sam and save her,
Yes.
and
Yeah.
you know, that's a sweet, wholesome end
Yeah.
to you know, the bread slicer.
Yeah, the bread slicer. Exactly. I mean, with Dina. Oh, sorry, I lost my train of thought.
Yeah, it happens.
It does happen. It's guys. It's really weird being on camera when
It is.
you are very much
Self-conscious.
self-conscious, and like we've trained ourselves to be. We'll always be behind the camera.
Behind the camera,
and
yeah.
then now. Oh, okay. I know what it is.
I
again.
can't hear that.
Nice.
Okay, so Dina, throughout the trilogy, I think it's also interesting that she's going against a trope where it's a girl just in her diary, or like, oh no, what do I do next? She takes action fast. She does everything to rescue her friends. She's the one coming up with the plans, really.
Yeah.
And she figures out how everyone's going to contribute, and shines through, I feel like, as a leader more than most
Yeah.
final girls. I mean, Ellen Ripley from Alien,
Yeah.
I think, is the most similar character to Gina, which, huge compliment.
I think, yeah, because also there was this thing that I heard, I think Reese Witherspoon said it in one of her speeches, where it's
Oh,
like,
I know what you're talking
oh,
about.
you know, in movies sometimes I read a script and the woman says, what do we do next? And she's like, I have never once in my life heard a woman say that.
What do we do now?
Yeah, but I agree.
Yeah.
I've never in my life, thankfully I have such amazing women around me in my life.
Me too.
And even like my parents have, you know, made me independent and like encouraged me to
Same.
be, you know, smart. Like
Yeah,
the
yeah.
basic, understanding of like, hey, if there's something that goes wrong, I know what to do. I know what I
Yeah.
have to do, or
Don't
I
wait
take
around.
action. Yeah.
Yeah.
Which is amazing for our protagonist. And I also think that in terms of the movie, they did such a great job of making us fully aware of her character and her personality that when we got to the last movie and Dina became Sarah Fior, it was like a seamless transition, like where they did the whole switch thing of like, Dina sees herself as Sarah Fior.
Sarah Fior.
It was completely believable
Yeah.
that this vengeful, haunted spirit
Yeah.
would be so similar to our protagonist because she's been so wronged and Dina has been so wronged. And
Yeah.
their resilience is like,
There's a great line
Yeah.
holding it all together.
yeah.
Yeah. It's a circle.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
So let's move on to your like top pick for a horror slumber party that you want to bring and enjoy with friends. Let's start with Sahiti.
Yeah. My top pick is The Conjuring.
So fun.
Yeah, because I think The Conjuring, I can't remember exactly, but I feel like The Conjuring would have been one of the first horror movies that I ever watched. It's between The Conjuring and the Blair Witch Project,
Oh, that's it. Yeah.
which is
Yeah.
also amazing. But yeah, I think The Conjuring, I feel, because when I imagine the people I would be at a slumber party with, it's not everyone is as into horror as I am.
Yeah.
But I feel like the James Wan Cinematic Universe does a good job of like bringing a lot of people into
Yeah.
the horror universe without being like, too slasher or too, gory or, psychological
Like everyone
horror.
can get in tune with it and
Yeah.
relate to it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And also my guilty pleasure is watching reactions on YouTube.
I know you like doing that.
Yeah. I love watching people react to movies that I love
Yeah.
because, just like even at a slumber party, you see people reacting to your favorite
It's a shared
movie.
experience.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you feel that, oh, they also love the parts that I love. And,
Yeah.
it's just, I would rewatch that anytime.
Anytime.
I know the scares are coming. I know, I know the behind the scenes. I know how the shots were filmed, but yeah.
What part of that movie do you think scared you the most the first time watching it?
The clap. The
Oh, yeah. That is.
Yeah. That was because again, like I'm not a very reactive person or anything, and there
But it
was
gotcha.
enough. Yeah, there was enough like jump scares or whatever until then in the movie. But yeah, that clap was like, oh my god, and I remember it. It's so iconic and it's so simple.
It is.
It's so simple to do.
And it's so believable that like
Yeah.
kids would be doing that, like
Yeah.
sisters especially.
Yeah.
Hang on. James Wan, who did Aquaman?
It
Nuh-uh.
is, right? I'm not.
First started
James-
with horror.
Oh
Yeah.
my god, that's crazy.
James
Yeah.
Wan's like mainly horror.
That's so funny.
And he was in his like quirky red hair phase
Yeah.
while shooting The Conjuring.
Oh my god, he looks so cool.
I
in
know.
it.
And I was
He
like,
started with Saw.
Yeah.
Like that,
Yeah.
I don't know if he got started, but like it was one of his earliest.
yeah.
And then he did Insidious.
Insidious.
Yeah.
Insidious also amazing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Insidious is great.
Yeah.
The Conjuring moment that scared me the most had to be when they're first figuring out that everything's really going wrong, and they all go upstairs because they hear all the screaming, and they're in front of the wardrobe, and then the witch jumps out.
Yes.
That's what scared me the most.
Yeah,
Because
she's
she
like
wasn't
on
even
top of the
visible before.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then she's just gone. That freaked me out a lot as a kid.
Yeah. What about yours?
Okay, mine. I didn't put your thoughtfulness behind it where I was thinking of others. I just thought of me. Which is usually what I'll share at a slumber party anyways.
Valid.
Yeah. So I picked Suspiria, the 1977 version.
Need to watch that.
Yeah. Oh my god, so good. It's basically about this girl that there's this very exclusive ballet school, and randomly some of the dancers start dying,
Ooh.
and it's looking like murder, but no one's really at the school, like the headmistress and everything, or headmaster, whatever, is really concerned. And it's weird. So this girl gets there and she starts noticing that there's some weird stuff going on. And the story kind of unfolds and we figure out that it's sort of a cult that is taking over this ballet school or running this ballet school.
Mm-hmm.
And there's witches and all kinds of fun things. Lots of blood. It's an Italian giallo, and it just does such a good job at opening it so that so many audiences could start seeing that film movement.
Mm-hmm.
And it's so freaking pretty. Every shot, all the murder scenes are stunning. Like, you could take any still from that movie, and I feel like you could make it into a poster because every
Nice.
shot is so thoughtful.
Nice.
And the color palettes are mwah.
Mm.
But I would bring that one because it's, it's ballet. Like,
Yeah,
of course
yeah.
everyone's going to like it. But I think it is a fun movie to talk about with a group of friends after,
Yeah.
too. But yeah, that would be mine.
Mm-hmm. I did have one other option.
We're going to do our
Backup
honorable
options.
mentions.
Yeah.
Yeah, let's do it.
So Evil Dead,
Yeah.
for me, I started getting into slasher
Yeah.
with Evil Dead, and yeah, the final girl trope, the slasher, the horrific blood rain,
Yeah.
yeah, it all just fit perfectly
all
for
in
me.
there.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And you see the story of like a drug addict trying to get into rehab and trying to, move past her history.
Yeah.
And she gets to a cabin with her brother and a group of friends,
Mm-hmm.
and everything just goes wrong because
Everything good. Yeah.
and
It's a horror
another-
movie.
Yeah, another horror trope, or not a horror trope, but a plot device that I use a lot in my horror pitches is the cursed objects.
Yes. you
So
do.
yeah, the book that they
Yeah.
discover, and then which ultimately leads to everyone's death except for our protagonist. Yeah, that's something that I think, other than, I guess The Conjuring doesn't really have a cursed object per se. It's like the house.
Yeah.
But yeah, I
Cursed
remember.
place.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I remember when I think of cursed objects, like the furthest I can remember, like the first few movies that I watched, Evil Dead is among them. And yeah, I think when we're talking about slashers and final girls and, classic
Yeah.
franchises.
Evil Dead's
Evil
a
Dead.
huge one.
Mhm.
And the legacy it carried on. I mean,
Yeah.
Ash vs. Evil Dead is still one of the most well done
Yeah.
horror TV shows.
Mhm. And I knew the name.
My honorable mention is a sequel. It's Ouija
That's a good
2
movie.
Wow.
by, once again, we always talk about him, but Mike Flanagan. So, I mean, firstly, what he got tasked taking on that movie. I mean, the first Ouija,
Sucked.
I wouldn't say that, but
Careful.
yeah, careful. But there's going to be a lot that they had to think of. So Ouija 2 it's so scary. I think it's a fun watch though too, because the Ouija board is something that a trope you see usually in sleepover movies and everything.
Mhm.
And there is a scene where the older sister is at the party, or mini party. I don't know. It's 6 kids, so it's not a party.
It's a party.
I mean, I guess pre-game. But it is scary. That movie, he really thought through cursed object and the weird, all of your worst fears about that have come about from the mythology and the lore coming from Ouija boards, and figured out how to instill those in the sequel without it coming off as okay, we're getting overridden with so much detail about this
Yeah.
stupid board. Why do we care?
Yeah.
And he made us care.
Mhm.
And I love creepy kids. Like, I'm such a fan. The younger sister, she's also in Hill House. Yeah. Or is she in Hill House or Bly Manor? No, she's in Hill House.
Yeah.
She's in Hill House. Yeah.
Yeah.
She does such a good job of being so charming and sweet, and then she's evil. And they just I love a priest. Like, I don't know. He just took all the tropes that I love that are connected to, like, the Ouija board and religion and all of those things that, like, we question so much as a society, and figured out how they can all kind of harmonize and complement one another. But I think it's a fun watch that it's not going to be something that is going to unsettle everyone and leave everyone speechless. Like, I don't know, I guess I'm thinking if we were living in the 70s and The Exorcist just came out, that would be a hard watch, although a fun watch. That'd be a hard watch after a slumber party to talk about. But it's like these movies that, you know, can keep the conversation going. Like, maybe we should try this. Oh, they did that. Like, are we going to manifest some spirits? And I think that's a good game, and it's kind of charming. It's something that I feel like a lot of people that eventually got into horror and, like, kind of the macabre things started off with. It's like, you know, watching Goosebumps or playing with a Ouija board in a little hotel in Savannah. Yeah. It's a fun thing.
Yeah. Which is why I wish tarot did better. Because I
didn't
feel
see
like,
it, actually.
Yeah, I wish that, you know, the same thing about, like, a cursed object or, you know, the bringing people together, a group of friends, doing something horror related at a slumber party or whatever they do.
Yeah.
It had its moments for sure, but I mean, I'm hopeful, you know, that more movies like that would become talked about.
Yeah, I agree. Is there a specific movie that you have watched at slumber parties?
Ooh, not really.
Not really?
Yeah, unfortunately, I mean, I've said this before, but not a lot of people around me, like friend groups before, like horror. Yeah, it's very hard. Like, even with my family, we love watching movies. My friends, I've gone to watch a lot of movies in the theater with them. Horror is not always the first pick.
The first pick.
Yeah. I would love to.
That's a bummer.
But yeah.
I remember in the little neighborhood I lived in for a good portion of my life, I guess. All of us neighborhood kids would get together and we'd watch the TV version. So, guys, like, nothing, like, our parents were checking in, but we'd watch the Friday the 13th movies.
Ooh.
And they would come on TV, though, because back in the day, cable was a big thing.
Nice.
But yeah, we'd tune in, and, like, around Halloween, we would just start binging them all.
Nice.
And that's such a fun memory of mine. And that's when we started being like, I don't know, stiff. Did you ever play Stiff as a Board?
No.
Everyone should look into it. I know we're trying to wrap things up, but that is very much a peak moment I have in my childhood.
Ooh. Yeah, childhood, not so much. I like slumber party things. I would say we played horror video games like Amnesia or Phasmophobia, or like we would do that together.
Yeah.
That would be our thing. Movies, not so much. I don't know why, but yeah.
Happens.
Yeah.
Gotta get a time of you two playing a horror game together.
I know. We do, guys.
Oh my god. That's my dream.
He has a list. But
I do.
We do want to do an episode where we dive into the world of
horror video
indie
games.
Horror video games.
Yes.
So if you guys have some picks for us that you'd like us to look into, let us know.
Or if you guys want to tag Markiplier, you know, and ask him to watch our podcast or something, that would be so cool.
Something a little cheeky like that, you know.
Hilarious to watch Becky play FNAF.
Yeah.
New video game YouTube channel.
I'm not.
Find my girl's game guide.
Yeah, I'm saying this off the bat. I'm not a good gamer. I'm a chill, like, in my downtime, I'll be a bad gamer, but I love gaming. So don't come at me if we. Yeah.
I had a lot of fun playing like The Quarry or Until Dawn together.
Yeah.
Yes. Oh my god, The Quarry. All of us.
See, I don't know. I really want to get into it. I mean, I mainly just played the Harry Potter thing.
Yeah, the Quarry, the series is like basically a movie anyways.
It is.
But
I think that's the one I've played. My brother has it. I played it with him. Yeah.
it's a good one. Yeah.
Yeah.
But anyways,
Let us
guess-
know if that's something you want to see.
yeah.
That's us wrapping up, though. I'm Becky.
I'm Sahiti. Stay alive till next time.